ke perobano Jina ke perobano Ke peroyon tanada Mea do mayona Dadoma kinkaya da Dadoma kinkaya da Mishina ponte Mea ponte Robano Akojama Kinda Yodaya Be ponte ai Yodaya Be ponte ai Yodaya Be ponte ai Aku akin jamadang Aku akin jamadang
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We're back with another episode of NomadLand. We have our producer Cash on the set. My lovely co-host Yaya.
Hello, loves.
And we have a special guest as usual.
Yeah, very, very, very special guest today. So one of my goals with this show, and one of the reasons I got into this, was to be able to do my part in spreading awareness, talking about consciousness and spreading some light on that realm. And the person that we have today is definitely somebody that lives that truth, somebody that navigates through the matrix, but he does it with style and grace. I appreciate the way he does it. I appreciate the way that he's not completely to the left, he's not to the right, he's right on the middle, a very balanced man, but someone that I follow on Instagram regularly. I get inspired regularly. He's a lifestyle coach. He's a sound guide. He did a TED talk on sound healing and the beauty of the sound, the truth in sound. He's an artist. He hosts Amazon retreats, and he's honored us with his presence today to speak on these things, and hopefully he can help us make a shift. Welcome to the show.
Woo.
Fabian.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that intro. I was like, wow, that's my resume pretty much.
That sounded exciting.
Can
I'm
I
like,
get a copy of that?
everything he said, I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do that too. Yeah.
So where should we begin? Where do you recommend us beginning?
Yeah, so
You're the maestro.
As you can see, that's what happens a lot of times. People are like, so what do you do? I'm like, wow, what don't I do? So where does it start? And that's been the whole process of all this coming into myself, really, because I do a lot of things and just am inspired and pulled from all sorts of directions.
Mm-hmm.
I finally, the moment that I knew my path was when I started integrating them all together into myself. Because
Mm-hmm.
before I was just fitness, then I was just an artist over here, and so all those elements. So,
What kind of artist?
artist. It's mixed media, and it's become really just myself.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
cool.
So right now, I'm even doing a workshop with making these dream catchers. I make these really large dream catchers, acrylics to mixed media, even found objects are recreating, and I live in an art community, so I open every first Thursday for San Pedro Art Walk.
Oh, San
I get to
Pedro.
show there.
So when did this journey begin for you? Were you always this woke? Were you always living this life?
I was questioning it.
Okay.
I was always questioning it more, and
You knew there was more.
yeah. So it's in hindsight that you connect the dots, and then I'm like, okay, I've been doing this for a minute, questioning and reading, and I was intrigued with hypnotism. Like these things that just seem like how's that even possible? Your mind or your consciousness, and that's when I started kind of question. I think it was more of a mental thing, looking into the mind thing, and then that comes with the whole spiritual part of it. Just naturally is
And things
the
make
glue that
sense,
keeps it all
and you
kind
dig
of-
deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
Now, from your stories, I heard you say one time that you went through a bad breakup.
Yeah.
And then that's where it really started happening for you.
Yeah.
Was that your version of the rock bottom?
Isn't that the beginning of every beautiful, amazing thing that anyone does?
Yeah. Well, that's a love thing, right?
Yeah.
It was no, that was actually the second one that really got me.
Okay.
So I went through two big awakenings, and the first one was going to prison.
Okay.
Ooh.
So
That will do it. Yeah.
Give us the
Yeah,
story.
that's the other one that does it also.
Yeah.
Give us the
prison,
short
that's it.
version of
Let's
that
just talk
story.
about
Version,
this, yeah.
Well, I started dabbling in selling stuff.
Okay,
and
you got
caught
caught.
up in that and did 3.5 years. And
Where'd you- where'd
Three
you
and a
do time?
half years.
all bouncing all around.
In California,
Yeah,
SoCal.
California to Colorado, and yeah, pretty much that.
Did you ever go to Lancaster or no?
No.
I was there for.
Lancaster.
weeks,
No,
yeah.
I was in Otay Mesa, San Diego, Littleton, Colorado,
Nice.
Ojai.
Prison nomad.
Yeah,
Going to different.
yeah. I was gonna be like, all right, where am I going? But that's where I something happened, and I remember the moment I literally got in there. I was like, okay, I'm either gonna do the time or the time's gonna do me.
Mhm.
And so I started getting into physical. If there was one thing I could do, I'm like, okay, I could control my body here.
Mm-hmm.
No other control, anything else. So I got into fitness. Next thing I just dove into it, started mastering my body, started training people in there. They're like, oh, go ask Fabian.
And you figured it out all in prison?
Yeah.
Wow.
So but I had books sent in, and I was testing myself. I was running marathons every couple weeks just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's nothing else to do. And so and I got up to 190 pounds. I mean,
Bulked up.
190.
Yeah.
bulked up.
Damn.
And luckily I got put up with a cellmate that and he would see I'd come in, I had a lot of anger built up,
Mhm.
and he'd be like, hey, come outside with me, and we'd go outside and he'd sit down and just close his eyes, and I'd be like, what, you know,
What was
Who
it?
was this guy again?
Yeah.
oh, this guy, I was my cellmate.
Oh, your
My
cellmate wasn't okay.
And so
Well, in the movies, it's usually a Muslim brother. So what was what was yours?
this guy was the hippie guy from
You
San
gotta listen
Francisco
to
with
me,
long
brother.
hair.
Ahmad
Yeah.
Muhammad.
This guy was just a hippie from San Francisco.
Okay.
And I mean, that's my brother now. This guy's my life.
You're still in contact
Yeah,
with him.
This guy. I tell him, I'm like, dude, check out what I'm doing. And he's like, oh, I remember when you were coming in all scared.
Yeah, that's so funny.
You know, and
He got you
and,
started.
he'd be like, hey, read this book, and I'd read, Eckhart Tolle. He'd pass me. He even gave me a Tibetan Book of the Dead. All these things, and I was recording it, but it still didn't make sense. I was like, no idea what this is, you know.
Right.
And
Yeah.
But I was going through my process through there, you know. Eventually, I'd go out with him, and he'd sit down randomly on a tree, and he'd just shut his eyes, and I would just stand around. Eventually, I sat down.
Like, this
next to
motherfucker's
him.
crazy.
Yeah,
Wait a
I'd be
minute.
like, dude, this guy told me to come out here, and he's.
But something was intriguing about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he'd just go out and he'd just sit there, and so I finally sat down and closed my eyes, and I was back home. I was with friends. I was at the top of.
You got there that quick?
Yeah. Once I started just sitting there, because there's nothing else, you know. I mean, beside my working out and art, that was the other part that I tapped into, was sitting there, and I started going astral.
That's one of the interesting things with meditation, though. In the beginnings, it's usually easier to get there
Yeah.
for some reason,
Well, yeah,
right?
I really, for me to do that now, it's like, I don't know, it takes a way
It takes,
different.
you got to do a bunch of kundalini
Yeah,
and just.
I'm doing
Yeah. Maybe it's a new experience, or maybe that's why.
Yeah,
Maybe you haven't done it
it's
before.
kind of
It's just
that first time,
like the first high. Like
no
the same
reference
way.
point,
Mhm.
so it's just
Nothing to compare to.
Nothing to compare.
Mhm,
Then
mhm.
later on, you're trying to get back.
That's kind of how drugs, right?
Yeah,
You know, the
basically.
first high, you're always
Basically,
trying to
you're
catch
chasing
that high, chasing that first.
I wouldn't know much about that.
Me neither.
No, that's what I hear.
No, I do.
Yeah.
So you were doing that while building shanks through art, or did you get into that through
No, I
art?
was tattooing. I became the tattoo artist.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's tight.
Yeah, and so I came in and they saw I was drawing. That was another, and they're like, hey, well, the shot clock goes, hey, you're the artist, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm the tattoo artist.
Mhm.
And next thing you know, I'm tattooing everybody in the place, and that bought me my protection.
Yeah.
And I picked up tattooing, acrylics, just sitting there spending time, doing it.
Mhm. I ended up at first, but one of my friends, we were 17. He had like a jail-made tattoo gun, and he brought it over. And my first tattoo, I gave myself, which is freaking horrible. We're just waiting to get that covered.
Yeah, I
But,
gave
yeah.
myself the same one for right? It was Carpe Diem.
Yeah, that looks
Oh,
much
sick.
better, much
Yeah.
better than mine, definitely.
So this guy mentors you, and he shows you this thing that you don't know much about, and you actually start
Yeah. And
embracing that
I
world.
start kind of. I wouldn't go just sit there and watch TV. I was like, I'm gonna go outside and just close my eyes, or work out, or take one of the religious courses.
Okay.
So I'd just go sit in on the Kabbalah class. Then I'd go sit in with Mass. Then I'd go sit with a Buddhist. And
That's interesting. They have all these classes in
Yeah.
prison.
Prison
'cause
sounds
different
fun.
they can't deny you. You're
Yeah,
the
but
practice,
it's interesting
you know.
that they have all the different religions and
yeah.
classes.
This one, and they even had a sweat lodge
Mm.
off to the side for the Native Americans. and that's the one that really I tapped in.
And that's a lot of the work that you do is still through that, right? You embrace more of that native part of yourself.
Yeah, there's
it resonates with you. It seems like
indigenous. I
yes,
think is what really this very roots.
'Cause you don't do that Hinduism part of things too much. I've noticed,
Not
right?
too much,
right?
But I do love the mantras and the breath where it comes from there and all that practice. But
yes.
But at the same time, the shamanic path is what I ended up really resonating with, and with that comes a lot of this ancestral, mainly for me, that South American's ancestral, the plant, the earth.
Now, before we get into that, back to prison, were you able to really get into that spiritual zone, in that mindful zone, in that negative place? Because I remember Tupac said he couldn't write a bar in prison because of just the negativity and just being down and depressed.
Yeah.
He even looks different.
I think writing is like that. I mean, I'm like that in a lot of situations like that. When your mind is closed and you feel caged, you don't even want to write. I mean, I don't know. I'm like that, but go ahead.
I was opposite. I ended up just really diving into these skill sets that I had or gifts, and I started. But the one that did resonate a lot was sweating with the Native Americans. Every
What is that?
Sweating. So they have they build a dome, a sweat lodge, and just tarps and tarps. So it's real thick and then there's the firekeeper. He's a sacred job. He brings in. They heat stones up all day, so they're red hot.
Okay.
And we go inside. There's in the middle they bring in the rocks, and then they close.
Essentially like a dry sauna.
Dry sauna.
Chinese do that too, right?
I think they have a practice like that too. But then the chief is in there, starts doing some songs. Throws water on it. Starts throwing water.
Oh, okay.
And that heat rises and rolls down, and you're pretty much in an oven, and you hit the floor, and at that point you start praying for life. You transcend. You go into this state of. I mean, I would get cold in there. I would be able to just get cold. I'd be flying out of this prison, observing everything going on.
Yeah.
Some of the natives, the real natives, so they would do different prayers. One for the ancestors, one for these guys would stand up, so the heat is at the very top, and you're sucking on the dirt, and these guys would, like they're sacrificed, like they're suffering. They take the suffering from the world, and that just was something so amazing. It would tap into something very ancestral, primal, and they allowed me because I would paint their drums for them. So they said they honored me with sweating with them, and that became my practice every.
I got you.
And you'd walk out and you just all day just want to be in a meditative state.
So 3.5 years in there.
Yeah.
It wasn't difficult for you then at all.
No,
because you're making prison sound fun.
Yeah.
Well, it made prison easier, probably, right?
I honestly, now I look back, I'm like, I can't regret it. I can't even say that.
Yeah.
Say like. And then I wonder, like, what would my life been beforehand? And I'm like, wow, this one just set me.
Very Malcolm X of you.
Yeah, so, because to this day, I'm like, what am I doing? Like,
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I'm like that with any bad experience that I've had. If it's more than 5 years since it happened, I think it's a good thing. I don't regret it. I'm like, I learned from it. It changed me as a person. And so yeah.
Yeah. Well, I picked up. This was School of Hard Knocks. So this was and I remember a friend's mom once read my palm when we were young, and she's like, "You're the type that learns hard lessons. You're gonna take big lessons." I was like, "Don't tell me that."
That's not what I want to hear.
She goes, "But you're gonna jump forward a lot. You kind of take these big hits, but then you get."
As long as we don't get used to that, because I've noticed that about myself too, and I worry about that sometimes. I'm like, is this where I truly learn? But I think it's just us humans as general. That's how we truly learn a lot of times.
Yeah. But at least you're not taking the hit so hard now. Now you're softening the hits.
Hopefully in the next life.
no, get it now. Come back.
It's too late, man.
He said it. He just said it. He said, this is my last hurrah. Now I'm just having fun with it.
Yeah, it seems like it. So that was your first journey.
Yeah.
And then you learned whatever you had to learn from that. Then the second one.
So
fast forward.
So I come out, and I mean, with a big sense of gratitude. By this time, smartphones have come into play, and so the world's changed. I'm like, whoa, this is way different. And
Cash, can you hear?
What year was it? When did you get out?
This was my early 20s. So what? 2003 maybe.
2003 is when you got out.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, 3, 4, and so I got out and start from scratch. You know, I was back to like heck on my mom's couch, and that was a practice in humility and just I remember that specifically, just sitting on a parking waiting for the bus with an application for Subway sandwich, and it was like in 2 cities over. I'm like, okay. I remember crying. I'm like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
Don't get cocky. Don't be humble. This is a
Your
job.
ego was getting tested.
Yeah. And it was I was like, the bus is coming. I could walk away or go and drop this off, you know. And I remember crying because I was like, whoa, is this? I'm a sandwich artist.
Sandwich artist.
Yeah, from artist this and then so I get on the bus and I went over, dropped it off, and then leave. And the next day, a friend goes, "Hey, I got a job for you." You know, and he got me a job designing for a clothing line.
Oh, very cool.
You know, so that turned well. Anyway, so I.
That's a very important part of the story, though.
Yeah.
The part that you come back from your learning, but it's not like the magic's going to be right in front of you. You have to reintegrate back into life, and that's very humbling.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because I couldn't see it. I'm like, how am I going to get a car? How am I going to get a job? How am I going to, you know, all these things. And I have a 17-year-old daughter. So I was like, okay, well, I got a daughter, and but I don't have anything else, you know. So I was like, well, I'm prime real estate for dating. I was like, wow.
No job, no money, grown kid.
I didn't want to think about that even. But after 3.5 years, I was like, whoa, okay, that'd be a next step I'd want to go.
Yeah, yeah. And she's 17 now, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
And so she was small then. But, and then I meet a girl. And I go out, friend goes, hey, let's go out for a party. I'm like, I haven't been to a house party in a long time. We go out and, I'm standing in line and the girl in front of me.
Where'd you meet the girl?
This was at a Hollywood party at some home.
Okay.
And I'm standing in line to use the restroom, and the girl is right in front of me, and she like turns around. She's just making small talk, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. This is you know. And then
that's the first girl you pretty much after prison that you got.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then the ego came in again. It's like, you ain't got nothing. What are you gonna do? You're like, go and try it.
No prison moves on her in line. Like put a shank, put her behind her neck.
You're mine.
Slam her on the wall. Like, you better shut the fuck up.
Let me teach you how we did it in prison. That's good.
All right.
And I'm like, can I get your number? And we ended up dating.
Okay.
And I remember like the second date we went out, I'm in my mom's car and it's like smells floral, and I was like, oh man, she's gonna be like, what's up with this? And I'm like, I gotta tell you something. You know, I just got out. This boom, 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 boom. I just let her know and everything. I'm like, that's it. You know, like you can bail out now or something.
Yeah.
And she was like,
she got more turned on.
She's just like,
it's like that Goodfellas scene when he puts the gun in her hand. He's like, I should have walked away. All right.
Yeah, pretty much that's what it was. And she's like, she was down to ride.
Yeah.
And so she had just gotten out of school, and so we built a life. We ended up building a life together, and she was like, you know, with my daughter, and my family took her in, and it was, and I was like, I've made it. I made it. I'm doing it.
Life is good. Back on track. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we moved out. We got a place, and I got a good job, and I was like, oh my god, I'm doing the damn thing, you know, and so I started slipping again, I guess, you know. I was like,
how?
I started going to partying. I just was forgot the gratitude, was doing the hustle, got back into that.
You were taking things for granted.
Yeah. So somewhere in there I lost sight again. And it was like, oh, here's the next lesson, you know. And so
she left.
No, I got engaged.
Oh. All right, I like this guy.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels already.
And then a couple months later, crashing down.
When things can't get any worse, let me get engaged now. That'll fix it.
That's a sign. Really good. That's a sign that you're at the bottom. No. To everybody their own. That works for you, do it.
Yeah.
And then at that point, a couple months in, she bailed out. You know, she wasn't faithful, and so that was
because she was fed up with your.
No, we were just on two different paths.
Okay.
But we were not walking our authentic path.
2 questions. How old was she? Like, how much younger was she than compared to you? And how long were you guys together before all
We were
this?
together like 6 years.
Oh, okay, wow. So
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
serious, long
It was
situation.
already- I
Okay.
was like already planning the kids and doing all that. And we were probably, 20, maybe 28, 20 to early 30s.
And you were doing
Okay.
personal fitness and stuff
Yeah.
like that? Okay.
Yeah. And so I was like jacked and I was
Yeah.
doing
Buff man.
shows. I was doing shows and
Oh, okay.
What do you-
physique shows.
Professional.
Like in the bikini and all that?
Nah, I got to wear the shorts. That's bodybuilding. I was
Yeah.
doing the physique one.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
And so doing Vegas pool parties, I was in it. I got into
yeah.
that whole thing, get the table.
The,
Yeah.
Get the table. So
Yeah.
the vanity part of that and just lifting and pumping iron, did that get to you at the time? Or was a part of you questioning, what am I doing? And this is probably the best thing I can do. I
and
wish.
sometimes I felt like I was holding it just by the strings, just barely holding everything together.
Okay.
And but yeah, I could see how that whole lifestyle is pretty blinding. Like
Yeah.
you're keeping up. It's all keeping up, and it's all show. Ultimately, it's like I'd go out with the guys, and they're like, "Hey, let's get bottles for the table." I'm like, "Damn, that's gonna be like $1,000."
This is why you know how
A
to
bunch of
speak
guys
both
gonna-
languages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've experienced it.
Because I said how important it is to me for people to be able to speak on a universal language. Like I love hippies and all that, but sometimes they tend to be in their own group and they don't come out to try to reach out to the mainstream.
Yeah.
So you lived that life for a while.
That's where I'm still living that life. But now it's just I changed the operating system.
Yes.
I'm coming at it from.
Yeah.
But you know the
So I can
underworks
walk-
of
I
that.
can walk both worlds.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what sometimes you say, like, I'm a chameleon with this stuff, is because, like, the different experiences and hanging out with different people.
When I went to
Yeah.
Conscious Tribe, that's where you did my first sound bath there, and I was like, I like this guy, like he's a little different than everybody else, as beautiful as everybody else is. So it really resonated with the way I believe things should be. So
Yeah, it's a fine balance, and it's
mm-hmm.
but and I like it because I could tap into the complete opposite of me. Like
Yeah.
I'm reaching the corporate dude that's
Mhm.
CEO guy that's just already at the breaking point. And I'm
Mhm.
like, hey, let me show you a little breath work or some movement.
Yes.
And then they start questioning next thing some of them have gone to Amazon to drink ayahuasca with me.
Wow.
Like the full, and they'll even be like, dude, I remember like I came in wanting just I have a bad back or something, and now I'm doing this whole line.
I'm the Amazon save.
So
That's beautiful.
yeah, so it is a for me, this walk is just, and I get to, and the more I'm stepping into it, I'm just letting it be shown more and more.
Yes.
So that's what I'm doing now is and according with the times, this is the time to people are going like, what are you doing? Like, okay, that's a different lifestyle. Like, because the other lifestyle is starting to butt heads with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And so I think people will start tapping into other lifestyles.
Elaborate on that a little bit more.
And lifestyles being.
Are you talking about conflict with yourself or what?
Yeah, people are.
Okay.
Yeah, they're diving deeper. They know that like it's eating at people. They gotta be. Somebody that voted for Trump out there is just like, I knew I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But don't you feel like that was necessary for
Yeah.
the collective consciousness
Oh, yeah.
to rise?
Yeah, now we see that.
I think there was the pain was necessary.
Yeah, because it's ultimately our mirror. I mean, what a great mirror.
Yes.
Like he's a perfect guy for it. It's
Let's
like,
get
here
the
it
shit
goes.
under the rug.
Like here you are, like all those elements, and it's just like ripping the scab off, and you're like, all right, let me clean it over again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we're at. We're at like such a nice pivotal point, and yeah, you could go down that road of being like, man, this place is going down,
Mm-hmm.
or it's just like, oh my God, there's a lot of opportunity
Yes.
that's going to open up. Like there's, you can look at it as like, wow, there's a lot of opportunity that's going to be showing up for you to step into.
Because pain is necessary, right?
Yeah, that's going to.
I always say pain is a rush of knowledge pouring into the areas we need it the most in order to learn. So if anything, that's what we need in order to learn.
Yeah.
And the greater the pain, oftentimes the greater the lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just we just hope that we get it this time. 'Cause, I mean, we've done this already several times.
Mm.
But it's now we're getting a really good time where we can tip the scales, and at least that's what I'm seeing. And I'm like, okay, the more I see it, I'm like, that's why I'm here.
Well, do you think maybe we see it more because of where we live, or do you feel like it's just this more universal?
It is universal because sometimes I think we have it pretty good here.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else
Yeah.
in other lands, they're like, man, they're coming, they hack your family, they whatever,
Yeah.
some terrible thing, and here we're complaining about like free the chickens and free like.
Hurricane
Yeah.
Irma,
Yeah.
I don't
fuck
feel
that
like-
pussy shit.
People have been living that. Look at India. They got
Yeah,
they got a lot of
they're
those people.
surfing on the
They're
hurricane.
surfing right now.
No. I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lot more pain in other countries, but I thought you guys talking about awakening and a more of a universal consciousness, and I'm like, do you guys feel like it really is universal, like it's happening more around the world
I don't know,
today?
sometimes
and-
that could be just the algorithms we've been feeding ourselves too.
Well,
Yeah.
I think internet has been the fuel to the fire.
Yeah, so that's the big one though that's connecting us with. Now we know what's going on.
Yeah.
Across somewhere, and people are like, oh, let's focus on that. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
so things are getting shown up. The other one is that here on the western side, we are a big catalyst for the rest of the world is watching.
In terms of energy, or
Yeah, energy and just the shift.
okay,
Like people are watching what's going to happen here because it does dictate of how that ripple
Yes.
effect goes out to the world
because of
Yeah.
influence.
because the influence.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it's because whatever you seek, you find, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the more you've been looking to it and you're getting into this spiritual stuff, obviously that's what you're going to be researching. That's the type of people
That's
you're going to
the
be
shift.
meeting. So I'm wondering if it is a ripple effect and it is growing,
well,
or it's just always been the same.
To answer that
you know?
question, my Kundalini guru was saying, he's like, back in the 70s, there used to be a movement made out of love, the late 60s and 70s, and it
Mhm.
was the hippie movement. Now we have the hipster movement, and that's a mainstream movement. So it just shows naturally that we are also evolving with love and growth and spreading that out. Kids are a little bit more sensitive towards each other. There's more acceptance. So I do feel like on a universal level.
No, absolutely. But what I'm saying, like, because if we're talking about the whole world, like, is there a hipster or like this type of movements basically happening in India or in in the Middle East or in all over Europe or not, or Middle America, or is it more
with
like where we
with
are?
the internet.
Mm.
I mean, it's
It's easier to find it.
It's easier to
right?
find,
Yeah.
and
Connect.
even if it's that one person though,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes I do a live feed, a story, and I'm just like playing the flute on a story, and I'll do like shout out or roll call, and somebody in like the middle of India or somewhere will post like Afghanistan, and I'm like, wow, what's that person right
Yeah.
now outside of his door? What's going on? Like,
Yeah.
is he like just a little old computer, and he's just like, there's a world out there. There's somebody that understands me.
Yes.
I'm gonna watch this guy's stories.
Yes.
Like gives me hope.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna tell my friend, and we're gonna create. That's movement. This is grassroots.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This is grassroots. And internet and the Instagram and Facebook. These things are just like awesome for
Spreading
Definitely.
that
how you
awareness.
look at it,
Yeah.
You know.
I guess the reason I brought it up is I'm an artist, but I own a real estate business. So it's completely, the people that I deal with are completely different, right? So on the artist side, I see that a lot more. This whole like effort of being more conscious and thinking about this stuff. But on the real estate side of things, there are a lot of people like in my office that I bring this stuff up and I talk to them and they just like get that crazy shit out of here. You know what I mean? They're just like,
Well, in that
not
case, you
into
can
it all,
see it
so.
as they're getting more sleep. You can
Yeah.
see it as they're going the opposite way, deeper into it. Because I mean,
Mhm.
turn on the TV and watch a show, it's weird. It's like plastic world now.
yeah,
Like,
it's crazy.
Everything's just a show, and it's becoming wacky. They think
I
like
can't watch TV, man.
people think
It's
like you're weird what you do, but then if you go like, wow, you watch what they're doing,
Yeah.
like these, let's say Kardashians.
Yeah.
Like,
But even with those, I like to look at the different side of it, where the reality shows are also tapping in to certain parts of those people that they want something real. They just don't have the understanding of realness. But they want something that's more than sitcoms. Maybe they want to see something real. But that's that version.
They want to see a lifestyle and mirror their lifestyle to that. But
Yeah.
And the internet ratings with different shows is showing how much it's doing better than TV channels and networks. So hopefully that's a good sign. But let's get back to
yeah.
the breakup. So she leaves.
So she leaves,
Yeah.
and then the real prison happens. Because originally when I was in prison, that was all physical, so I didn't have to tap into emotional
okay.
body. I didn't have to do a lot of
Yes.
that.
That's where it all starts, though.
Yeah, I mean, literally, your physical, like even coming out built up,
Mhm.
and then once I got out, the breakup was the emotional.
It was a tough
body.
one.
That was the emotional body. That then I had to go through the whole pain body of that, and and that broke me down. That was just like I thought I was doing it, I'm like, why?
Did it hit you right away or take a couple of months?
No, it was right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to like depression. You know, I was like doing stuff I wouldn't have done before.
Mhm.
And but that was all the who am I and questioning.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was, looking back at it, same thing as prison. You're like, can I regret that? I guess not. That's what it, you know.
Yeah.
Like, damn, those are those hard lessons that just like propel you. And but I remember the steps I took to get out of it. So that's where I could see people could get stuck easily, you know. And I don't know what it is. If something makes you go, I need to fix this, or just be like, I want to stay in this and wallow in it for a while, because
like
it feels
fuck it.
good. I mean, it feels good. I ain't gonna lie, you know, sitting there in the dark drinking.
Yeah.
Drinking. I'm like,
Fuck it. I'm chill.
I was like, what am I doing? I've never even done this. But it was like textbook. I'm like, all right, what to do after breakup? Yeah. And so I
Ice cream.
ice cream, and I ended up going to nature. I remember like friends were like, let's go. I went out, and I was like, oh, that's cool, man. I'm like, this is just out of the realm of like, okay, where is she? Where's this? What am I gonna do? My space. I need a new home. And I started going out, even camping on my own, and that was, I had never done that one.
Alone time.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I was going out and like hiking out, going to Angeles Forest or taking out to Joshua Tree, and I'd go walk around, and then I'd just yell.
Yeah.
I'm like, nobody around here? I'm like, all right, fuck yeah.
That make you feel better.
Yeah, and I was letting out a bunch of steam, and then
Along with shitting in the woods.
yeah, that's it.
Oh man, I've never done that one yet.
You've never done that?
Dig that hole, shit in it. But, well, I don't know, what is it?
It's the natural, your primal side.
That's what it is.
It's the primal side.
I like it.
Yeah.
And taking showers in the river. Oh,
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Until the bear rolls up on you while you're fucking taking it.
I mean, why do you think I go to the Amazon?
yeah.
Sometimes you go to the furthest places for just a moment with yourself,
Mhm.
in the most desolate middle of a desert or wherever, you know. That's why people go to Burning Man.
Mm.
You go to the furthest point, we're just away, and you can find yourself for a second sometimes.
So then somebody comes to you and says, hey, take this thing.
Somebody goes
After
like,
the breakup.
yeah, somebody's like, hey, you want some mushrooms?
Okay.
Uh,
That was the first time.
I'd done it when I was younger, but in a whole different setting.
mm.
And then I took that, and that got me really questioning and looking at things from every possible angle and perspective.
Look at that one yourself.
Yeah, I know. I see these guys. They follow me now. And, you know, and
They're not really there. You just
yeah, they're not even there. And I end up.
That's good.
And I end up just going into the psychedelics, revisiting them from when I was younger, but then because I saw what it did, and then I was really respecting it, and I was going out to the woods. I mean, sitting there and like praying and doing a fire, and I started practicing my own ceremonies. I guess, you know, that's what I was doing.
What else besides mushrooms?
And then I was reading online because I'm going down that rabbit hole. And I read about ayahuasca, and I'm like, no way, this thing just clears this and does this and does this, and
Yeah.
if you order now, you get 2 for no. And I was like, and it just resonated. I was like, I need to go look at this, and I need to go. And so a friend happened to also know about it. We're like, let's go, and yeah, flew all the way to the Amazon.
And you mentioned you didn't even have the money for it or whatnot.
No, it was
Yeah.
like, I'm taking it out
Like,
on a
I have
card,
to do
whatever.
this.
Yeah, at that point is, I'm like, if I'm
Wow.
gonna put anything on a card, the best thing would be for like, I don't know, for raising vibration.
Yeah.
Did you
Or a
always
pair
have
of
a,
Jordans.
Did you always have a good tolerance towards that type of stuff? Were you not afraid of freaking out?
No, there's a place that I'm like, I'm sorry, Mom, if I don't come back.
Oh, you did. So you had that speech.
Yeah, I have. It's still even a challenge sometimes, you know. I'm like, why am I doing this? What's the purpose, you know? But then I that puts me in a
Then it
place
gets
that-
to the level that
yeah,
okay.
it gets to the level like I can break it down. And then I remember, you know, why I'm doing it. And a lot of times now it's sometimes not even for myself. It's just for the greater cause. Like, I'm like, okay, how much more can I keep peeling away so that I can just really show people the core, you know? And I mean, sorry to say, but this mushrooms and psychedelics just get you there pretty fast.
Really
I
fast.
can do a lot of breath of fire and
Don't do that.
but I can sit there, but
What is that?
Basically the stuff that I do because I'm scared of psychedelics.
Oh.
So I try to get there. Yeah.
Breath of,
I'm even sending him referrals to take to Amazon with them, but I can't go myself.
it's called Breath of Fire.
Breath of Fire.
I've never heard of this for some reason.
Well, we must do the breath of fire.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
if you want to get high without psychedelics, you can do, like it's doing just a lot of heavy breath work. And,
Oh, okay. So it's just all natural.
and like I do with clients, and you know, it's like a flood of prana, you know, of energy, of oxygen, but I have friends that don't do psychedelics. Like I could get there even with my breath and my practice. I'm like, apple, oranges, they're still fruits.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what they call it, the businessman's drug, right? Because they don't have time for all that shit. Do it
Yeah.
for 15 minutes, and ayahuasca is longer. DMT is shorter, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a short one, yeah, I mean, and that's people like, oh, that's a shortcut. I was like, you're not doing the work, you know. I was like, there's a lot of work when you're in there.
Yeah.
You know, it's not easy. But then also for me, it's shown me a very deep side that now that's where I go on my meditations and you know, just opening the channel for depth.
So can you reach places that you couldn't have before, like after doing ayahuasca, without being on it?
Yeah, because it's very non-linear in there. It's everything. I'm going to past, to present, to other people's stuff, and you know, so you get to really observe. I imagine it kind of like, remember Professor X when he goes into that room and he hooks up?
Yeah.
It's just like everything's going on. Nothing was linear. He's like, boom, over here and seeing somebody over here.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. That's what I always
Interesting.
see.
So, and on the scientific aspect of it, it opens up your neurons, so then you become more open through that? Is that what it is?
Yeah, so on the physiological level, it allows for new neurons to open,
Okay.
neurons to crisscross,
Okay.
new synapses, break up old patterns of like a trigger point. So as a trainer, I work a lot in the physical realm. That's really sometimes where I'm able to put my foot in the doorway for somebody to connect the mind-body for them. If they're just body,
Yes.
then I get to, you know, I'm like, slow it down, breath this, and they achieve whatever movement. But in that it's for the mind body part, it's like a trigger point. So the neurons, you can rewire them because you get let go of fear. You know, and the minute that, well, then hey, a little more clear, and ayahuasca is a major one that just pretty much it fires everything at one shot. So old files that you have, you know, old fear, traumas.
What is it? What does it do?
So it does exactly that. So it'll fire.
It just brings everything from the
Think of all
past
your
back
neurons,
to you at
all your
once.
past, all the goods, everything, whatever you want to call good or bad.
Sure.
They're all just experiences. You get to revisit them. Some that are a little more ingrained. Let's say you have a trauma. So like a dog bit you when you were 3. And every time a dog barks, you're just like feared.
Something that you don't remember
Yeah. you
right now,
never remember.
naturally.
But it's still in you, and not every dog's going to bite you, you know. So how do you go back? Unless you do hypnotherapy and it's very linear, we're going to go back. Oh, you step forward again, you load, come back and forth. On something like this, it's like condensed in 6-7 hours, where a file like that opens up with our PTSD, deep traumas.
And has there been, because I know this is probably a lot of listeners out there are, you know, not that familiar with it and they might have their doubts. So was there any, like they've done a lot of scientific research on the effects of ayahuasca?
Yeah.
And so this is like, it's on the
MAPS is
neurons.
doing a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah, MAPS, Multidisciplinary Association of Psychedelic Studies. There's a lot out there, and I mean now it's like CNN, and people have done studies. And yeah, you're gonna hear their side of it always, you know, like this drink out here causes. But no, in regards to and to do it also the right way, also.
Sure.
You know, like anything could be done.
There's a lot of people that are scamming it.
Yeah. So you do have to be aware of your source,
Yeah.
you know, and
the plug.
Yeah, and once you know, and so once I went, my message was, like, give me your plug. Give me
Nobody
your
laughed.
source.
I was like,
Connect.
why? That was good.
yeah,
Thank you. It took me a couple of seconds.
More of you laughing.
Yeah, loudly.
Give her a mic. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Ego likes it.
it's okay as long as you know.
Yeah.
As long as you're aware of it.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, once I went out the first time. The message was bring the others, find the others, bring people. That and I got captivated with how deep I was able to go through sound. With just a shaman doing a rattle, a song.
That's huge, I heard, right?
Yeah.
It's really important, huh?
It's a major part. So what's called the Icaros.
Yeah, what is that?
So it's ancient songs.
So they guide you through this journey with sounds
Yeah.
and different sounds, and they know what kind of sounds you resonate with?
Yeah.
Really?
They know this is going to take you deep or bring you back up if you're in a
Well, that would make sense with my Kundalini experience because I got it through music, you know.
Yeah.
And the music was just, it took me there completely. So that makes sense.
Ultimately, vibration.
But take a couple
That
steps
does make
back.
sense.
I want to hear about, you know, your trip.
Uh,
How you got there, what happened, a
Yeah,
little bit of
the first time.
In Peru?
Yeah.
Peru got there and met this shaman, and we look at each other and we just hit it off. He spoke Spanish, and the group didn't really speak Spanish, so me and him were spending all this time. And he's like, I was on your path. He's like, you're same path.
You understood?
Yeah, and he's like, oh, you're me when I was young.
Was he from there? Or is he?
And he's from Chile.
Okay,
But then he
okay.
worked out of Peru.
So
and
he's from the
studied.
city and he ended up kind of.
No, he lived with shamans, and he was. Doing
That was his life.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Very cool.
And so him and his wife, and I end up resonating with this guy, and he's like, I'd like to, you know, I want you to work with me, and I'm like, oh man, what's this? Like, keep coming out here. Like, I was like, I don't want to live out here,
Yeah.
but now I see, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going back and forth, and so I would go back, sit with him, and go deeper each time, and he was like, and he'd tell me, he's like, I can feel you use my energy, you know, back home. Like, you know, I see the work you're doing. He's like, that's good, you know, you're doing it. But let me ask you something. He's like, where's your ego now? And I was like, damn, that's a good question. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm doing good. And he's like, oh, okay. So you got smarter. The ego got smarter. You know, he's like, let's go look for it. I'll give you 3 cups.
Shit.
And one cup's enough.
He hooked you up.
Yeah, I was like, oh man.
But that wouldn't take you. I mean, it's kind of scarier too, obviously.
Yeah.
right?
Well, then he's like, do you trust me? And I'm like, okay, I do.
Like, I don't
Do I have a
know.
choice?
I don't know.
And all right, he goes, hey, just make sure you hold on to the tether. I'm like, whoa, what's this tether? He's like, because you're gonna lose your ID, your identification.
Yeah.
With all that is.
Wow.
And so I'm like, all right, let's do this.
Fuck it.
I'm like, Mom, I love you. And so yeah, and he goes, listen for my song. That's the tether. You know, so literally in that space.
Oh, I see. So
yeah,
follow the
you
song,
see-
stick with it.
Yeah, that would be like a totem to this side. You know, and so an anchor, and 3 cups later, I go in so deep into the subconscious.
This is the first trip, by the way.
No, actually, the first trip. No, this was the second one.
Okay.
But this one was really the ego death one. This was like a big one that finally.
How was the purging on that?
Yeah, the purging's so.
What is that?
Releasing trauma through a physical means?
Yeah, emotional.
Throwing up.
Parasitic, and like energies, stuff that's not even yours. Ancestral contracts that's in your bloodline that's, you know, you're carrying, and it's up to you to either pass it on
It's
or
baggage.
or yeah, you don't just carry your eye color and that from, you know, you carry lines of stuff in your DNA. So in that space you get to actually reprogram, deprogram, take out files. Like, it's so, like, you're in that space, you're inside your computer. You're coding. You're
This
coding.
stuff is like, it's mind blowing. It sounds so crazy, and I know there's so many people out there that they can't even imagine like this stuff being real or it working, and it frustrates me because I have close friends and family members that I try to. I don't know much about it. You know, I'm a student. Like right now, I'm really interested in doing the whole trip that you provide. And getting to know more about it, but some people won't even entertain it, you know. And it's like
it's fear.
Yeah.
It's ultimately fear. The minute you say no, just follow it with like, okay, what was that from? Was it no because I know my boundaries and I'm like, no, it doesn't serve me, or no way, I'm not going there, or I'm scared to know whatever the unknown. You know, so that's where. And I tell people, hey, it's safe. This is, you know, I've figured it out how to do it, run it smoothly, and but yeah, it's going into, not everybody.
You'll
Not
be ready
everybody's-
when you're ready.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
something that has to probably call you. You can't just force it, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Anything good that happened to me, it didn't happen by me trying to bring it on myself. You know, it just...
Oh, it backfires.
I take my dad to Peru.
'Cause, yeah, you
Go
gotta
ahead.
be willing because it's gonna just show you. It's gonna all it does. It's an expander. It's gonna show you what's going on in there.
Mhm.
It's all your shit. So,
But essentially, it releases you from things that no longer serve your soul, I would imagine,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, because you're like, why was I scared of that?
Yeah.
Or you gain this courage. You're like, oh my god, I
Where'd
just
that
dealt
go?
with that.
Yeah.
The rest that is one side effect. So people go, are there any side effects to this? I'm like, yeah, there is one major one. You come back, and the Matrix is a little. You see it a little bit
Different.
More. Yeah.
What do you
see,
mean?
You see the Matrix more.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
then,
The
how do you
glitches.
re-assimilate?
Mhm.
The reintegration can be challenging sometimes because you're like,
That's when some people get stuck, right?
people get stuck
Or
and then-
psychosis.
Yeah.
Now, I know you have a coach for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So even that. So people come back to like, dude, this doesn't jive with me anymore. Like I want out of here. I want to go somewhere where it's less this and like like even now personally, I'm like, what's the big thing of a city life? You know, like the U.S. for me is like, oh my god, it's losing its luster. Like, you know, a lot of people are wanting to go into nature even.
Yeah.
Get out of this.
So do you think that most people that can't reintegrate properly is because their lifestyle and the things around them is so far from
Yeah.
the new truth? Do you think that's what it is?
Yeah, you can't. Once you know, there's no one knowing.
Yes.
If you come back and you still go back to that relationship that doesn't serve you, your spirit's gonna let you know.
And the more you resist it,
Yeah,
the
it's
harder
gonna-
it becomes.
Now you're into suffering.
Okay.
Now you're gonna.
And it becomes worse.
Yeah, now you're button heads. Like
Yeah.
worse. Before, all right, maybe you're. I can't say ignorance is bliss, but you're pretending really good.
Yes.
Now you know the truth, and if you continue, I mean, you could get a clear message. You could be like, stop eating meat,
Yeah.
start exercising, break up, quit that job. And you come back and you go back to it, you're gonna like, what? You know, this is not. Now you're
Yeah.
living a fake life. That's painful. That's what a lot of people are doing, you know. So that's what their suffering is.
Yeah, for a lot of people, and me included, that's what it could kind of scare you too. But well,
Yeah.
right now I'm not ready. You know, I'm in a place that maybe like, I tell him all the time, like maybe if I wait a year or two from now, where I get to a certain financial level, then I don't care if you know what I mean. But it's just that fear is there. You know?
see the loop?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
I tell people, are you ready to let go? If you know, if you go and you come back, can you like? And a lot of people have come with me. They come back, quit their jobs, bought a van, moved, and traveling. They're like, because if not, you just keep doing the same thing and be like, okay, the day will come. Just when is enough? It won't be enough.
When did you have your first trip, or when did you host the first trip?
That was so I did the first trip probably like 6 years ago, and then they've been almost each year after that. So, but now I'm like up to this will be the fourth one.
And do you keep in touch with them? Do you kind of see what's going on? Okay.
That's another big element. So people do it out here in Southern California,
Right.
you know, and there's people hosting ceremonies. And even if somebody wants to do ceremonies here, same thing. I've built a contact, and you know, if people can't go all the way to Peru, then there's other places out here.
How do you see that being different? I made a call to Sina, the friend that's going with you, and I was like, do you have any questions that you think I should ask? And that's the only one he asked. He's like, so how do you think this is different going to Amazon versus finding local places?
Yeah. Here, you're going to go back home. Like, you know, unless you go for like a week retreat and that. But you're still on the grid. You're still on a time. This is time.
You don't feel that change fully.
Yeah, you don't feel. You're gonna get a lot. Don't get me wrong. It's still that medicine's gonna do its thing.
But you haven't fully disconnected.
But there's still you tap into what I call the shamanic side. You're in touch with just all the plants. You're surrounded by the sound alone of being in the Amazon is another medicine.
Yes.
You're there just constantly around sound all day, and it's natural. Not like, what was that? I was a car pulling up, or you know, like imagine doing it in a home or a yard or something, and you know, knowing that you got to go back home in a couple of days, or so that element, and then also being completely put somewhere else.
Yeah.
Is so because when we first get there, I've noticed now, like usually first day, second day, people are like, what are we gonna do? Like, what are we gonna do? I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
just,
Mhm.
there's a hammock right there. Go talk to that tree.
This ain't Disneyland, bitch.
Yeah, I'm like, sorry.
Yeah, it's like sounds and
Like,
experiences
where can I
that.
order a drink? I'm on table
Like-
service. and then like the shaman comes out with like sparklers out of a drink. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably the sounds that like through evolution, millions of years, we've probably heard that stuff a lot more, compared to car
Yeah.
sound or city
Yeah.
sounds, and
We're used to this sound. And then when you hear that, it just seems natural. All that seems home. Like everybody there just goes like, oh my God, I would want to stay here a little bit longer. And it was so much that at one point, I remember we heard a jetliner fly over us. And we stopped and looked at it now, and we're like, that's so weird. That sounds so weird. Out here,
the steel bird. No,
we're throwing arrows out.
While they're throwing chemtrails at you guys.
I know they're spraying with chemical.
That's good.
That's so funny.
That's just the first day. I get into it.
But there's actually retreats that do like ayahuasca retreats in California too.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
And that's the thing that like I said, maybe my algorithms are tuned into all this, but I see a big movement, an archaic revival, as Terrence McKenna said. That all what you talk about 70s, it's gone refined. We learned what not to do, and it's coming back. Everything. I mean, from the plant medicine to the love movement to hey, no bombs. Like all these things are just coming back. It's nothing new, but now it's maybe we learned a little bit more how to. And that's where, as a matter of fact, even maps, Rick Doblin, who runs it, goes way back. He started this whole, he's like, this medicine works for people to get out. And he stuck to it for years, and he's like, DAs try to shut me down. They bankrupt me. They've tapped my phones, all this. And I got to meet him and go to a talk, and everybody's like, thanks for sticking it out. Like, you held the light. And now they're on their, third phase of having the FDA and the DA approve. They're already doing it. They're already testing it on people.
And I heard teams of engineers in Silicon Valley are just microdosing all the time. They just go on these little camping retreats and they get high. And these are the people that weren't really fucking with that stuff before.
Yeah, no. And then the next generations also are just really just right into it.
Yeah.
They log on and all these people pop up on Instagram and boom, 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 download. Remember Matrix? He's like, download helicopter.
Yeah.
That's where
But is it Class A drug right now or ayahuasca?
Yeah, it's illegal. It's illegal unless you belong to a church that does it out here. But it's but I can see how it's not gonna get legalized here, so people are gonna go to the hubs, which will be in other places.
Okay.
So how many trips did you take before deciding to set up a tour, and how did that happen?
Oh, it was after the first one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I came back and the first thing was all my friends were waiting to hear about it. I'm like, we need to go. Let's go back. And so first one was just friends and family, and a big element. And it's another thing that's about taking the trip versus doing it here is you build tribe. You get the sense of community of just wow, these people just witnessed me purging my traumas, and I'm letting it out, and I don't even know you, but.
Can you elaborate on the tribe a little bit? Because I keep hearing about it. I don't know what it is. Tribe is just. You mean tribe? Yeah.
Tribing up?
Now I see people sometimes propose my tribe.
So you see how that's
let your vibe attract your tribe.
Yeah. But have you seen how that's become more in the in how people are speaking? So just watch how even certain words are infiltrating just the basic wherever, Instagram really.
Yeah.
And so that is just people that match. On the other side usually it's squad. On the hippie side it's tribe.
That's the yang.
Squad.
But
anyone's mood.
So basically it's community and like a close group of like-minded individuals that you just feel through energy and just like-minded activities. But I don't know how much I like the word tribe, to be honest with you.
I think it separates.
I do believe that. I do believe that it's a bit unaccepting. It's a bit all right, let's get together, But humanity is our tribe.
Yeah, well,
I think part of it is
ultimate tribe is just that.
But I think part of it is for a longer period of time. I just want to say this one thing.
Right.
We were living in small communities, and we're
absolutely
for millions of years. This is a new thing, maybe 10,000 years that we're living in larger communities of maybe over 1,000, and now all of a sudden the past couple hundred years.
It does, and one of the things that it does just to counter myself is that I do get energized when I go around certain groups of people. I'm good for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yeah, so it's just that, and people are looking for that. So I've taken it as build community, and that's what a lot of my events. Now I'm like, okay, just keep bringing people in, and you always meet that one person that connects you to somebody else, and now I'm in a place where I'm getting the feedback and being able to see people go like, hey, you woke me up, with sound or just something, just whatever is that I'm putting out. I'm getting feedback that like, hey, that totally helped me realize my path, and I resonate with that. Whether somebody resonates with something else, somebody whatever it is, but this lifestyle of mine has been working for me, and so whoever sees it, resonates with it, then I'm like, dude, this is a little path I've found that works.
Yeah.
What's your goals with this?
Goals is,
Or what part of your journey are you currently on?
right now it's because now I've been doing this for what, at least almost 10 years.
A decade.
Yeah.
Sounds better.
So yeah, a decade. So I'm actually I'm 2 decades now.
Don't
40
date
years old.
yourself.
No, and that's even
Still trying to make
that's
moves.
even a great thing. I'm 40 years old.
Don't do that.
I didn't know
Oh,
that.
it's awesome.
I
Oh
wouldn't
my
have
god, it's
guessed.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow,
I'm like,
respect.
Knock on wood, Persian
No,
style.
it's-
Mashallah.
and so now I get to see like,
Mashallah.
now I see like you millennials. I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
like, I could see the difference, and even though I resonate with them, and they're like, oh, you're the elder. So part of that, I take that responsibility. I'm like, okay, yeah, hey, this don't do that.
Yeah.
And some of it is like tough love too. I've noticed that it's just like, fuck, what are you doing? Like, stop eating that, or we all know now. Now that's another thing is, you can't play dumb now. You can't. It's everything's at your fingertips.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, man, turn it on. Everybody's like vegan. I mean, you see these movements are picking up too. So
Yeah, the vegan big time.
is-
Yeah.
I was just listening to this study that they're saying that this year vegan is boosted up. Veganism. So
They're about to make the first
Yeah.
franchise, I heard, too. McDonald's style.
Yeah, you almost can't make an excuse about availability of good,
yeah,
vegan food
McDonald's
anymore.
is
They're just
having a vegan menu.
Unless you go like this, which I'm doing right now.
Oh, hey, but it's a process. Everything's a process.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because the raw vegan person could look at me like, oh, you're still eating just vegan? Like, eat raw. I'm like, oh.
Freaking
Yeah,
pansy.
I think maybe the ayahuasca will push my guilt trips
And
into
then above
reality.
that, somebody's a breatharian. They're like, dude, I don't even eat anymore. Just work off of prana.
The prana diet.
So, yeah, that's the process. Right now, I was vegetarian for a couple years. Then after this last trip to Peru a couple months back, I went vegan. That was a big change up in me also, and that showed. It's more awareness, But with that comes also more awareness. Is just, again, it's more challenging.
So how long have you been vegan?
Ever since a couple months now, 6 months.
6 months. All right. Good job.
Yeah, and last thing was just letting go of like eggs
Mm.
and sushi. Damn. But I found a sushi place that makes vegan sushi.
And I've seen
Really?
you make some cool
What is
food.
that though?
Yeah.
What is vegan?
Like,
Like
I guess it
It's
has the
just
same
made up-
flavors
it's
and it
just-
will taste
It's just
good.
made up of intentions.
Okay.
The chef makes the intention. I'm like, oh, great.
Close your eyes. Put in the soy
I'm
sauce.
not happy.
Extra wasabi.
But yeah, it's good.
What's your thing with symmetry?
With symmetry,
If it is a thing with you,
No,
but I've just
I would have to
noticed that
say-
it's just all your posts have a symmetric presentation.
Okay, so therefore that's the aesthetic. That's aesthetic of how you present.
Okay.
Which is the subtleties, and the subtleties are the details, and God is in the details. So the refinement of everything is just like, like at first it's chip away the big chunks, and then you get in there and fine tune, and then it's just an art in just the details. So as I've also gotten younger, I see myself refining all those little things, and that's what people could observe and be like, that is appealing, that is graceful, that's beauty.
Because symmetry is beautiful
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
And at the same time, then you also help break it up and show the other side. So I'm always walking those two. There's a lot of the aesthetic, but also it's like back to nature, a broken down. There is no system.
The contrast.
structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the contrast. So the contrast is something that I love showing in sound. Is sometimes I'll just gong the hell out of somebody, and they're just like, okay, this is too much, like.
And then it gently.
And then it just
Yeah.
back to center. and then they can feel the fluctuation, and they'll feel the fluctuation versus your default before.
Lift it up if you want to.
Your default before was
Yeah.
that becomes normal
Yeah.
until you get shown, and so sound, a plant medicine, something that's just gonna rock you, you're gonna go back to center.
And let's talk about that. Are you one of the best sound healers in the game right now?
No, just
You drop hot mixtapes on the drop.
sound on people.
Selling the CDs, I guess.
Hottest on the scene. Yeah, just on myself. Amongst my friends. They're like,
Do you evolve in it?
My mom says.
How many different instruments do you play?
Man, I play a lot now. It's grown to gongs and bowls and flutes and
Love gongs.
And every time I travel, I pick up something else and random stuff. So, but mine are a little bit different in regards to I bring that energy from the jungle, so it's very shamanic. It's a very natural, more primal sound, and sometimes that's like shadow work stuff. So it's a lot of this stuff is shadow work. You're not light workers; you're actually shadow workers.
Elaborate on that.
To get to that light is you gotta just observe and know that shadow world. The ones that say no, I don't want to deal with that, or I don't want to know. That's not the shadow work. You know.
So that kind of it's parallel to what Carl Jung said. Our shadow self, the other.
It's right there, and
our lower self,
which is getting presented to us now, and where we are today.
Yes.
Everything's mirroring right now.
Essentially.
Prime, heck, even the climate stuff is like, all right, how are you going to deal with this?
Yeah.
Luckily, people with what's going on are uniting, but we're in an interesting little place right now.
That's for sure, brother.
So that what about fruits?
Oh man, fruits are.
How do you stay in shape eating all that sugar? Because I don't remember last time I had fruits.
Yeah.
It's not good, man. It's too much sugar.
Don't deny yourself the fruits.
You're just lucky you have good metabolism. That's
I think
what
it's how much you eat of it
Keep
too,
it real.
right? Like I think if you
this motherfucker eats a lot of fruits.
Fruit,
no,
yeah.
it's not like 5 cherries.
No, I'm like
right?
Coconuts.
Yeah.
Now, and ever since the more I go to the jungle, the more I come back just craving
fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
And I was just actually listening to this podcast today, and they're reiterating how important it is to eat like leafy greens, not cooked always.
Yeah, leafy,
because most
fresh
people are going
greens.
like, well, I need my protein, but how do you get the protein in?
I don't know.
You need to be able to break the protein down too. So therefore, leafy greens is that because your protein eats. What's your protein eat?
So do you follow
grass
and leaf.
So do you
But
have
don't eat that protein.
Do you have like a systemic way about going about your diet, or not really?
No, it's really
Eat when you're hungry.
Yeah, I really eat
That's how I do
way, and I balance it. You're like, I'm hungry out there.
Exactly.
But balancing it is so I go, okay, I do got just because somebody's vegan doesn't mean they're healthy.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes
It's actually
the opposite. They're like, I'm eating fries all day.
Yeah.
And so it's you got to also remember is how to balance that. So it's I bring in and my big goal also going back to what's my big goal is growing my own food. That's where a lot of people are going.
That's something I love to do.
That's something that is resonating with people.
And is that something you're doing? Because I saw in your stories you're doing that with your housemate,
Yep.
Ling Ling. Shout out to Ling Ling.
Shout out to Ling Ling.
Dude, the first time I went on your story and you called her Ling Ling, I was like, look at this racist motherfucker calling her Ling Ling. You can't do that, but I liked it.
Sometimes I throw like crazy Asian.
It's like he's a racist too, but he's woke.
But he's woke. That's all right.
But no, it's a beautiful home, and hopefully we can carry some footage so we can put it on top of what we're doing right now. So that I'm sure that naturally came about, but it's a beautiful little place you guys created.
Live in an art community, and she's going to permaculture school, and comes back and gives me these downloads, and so I've been able to secure some land, and she's studying everything, so building it from the ground up. So once we get it going, then community, then I mean, it just
that's amazing. Man. That's a dream of mine. Too. Yeah,
but that's
in Palos
everybody's
Verdes?
dream. Yeah, in PV, in Palos Verdes.
Expensive land too.
Yeah, but a client of mine has all this land and just to make it look pretty, like just there's some nice plants. I'm like, why aren't you not growing? You could be growing. You wouldn't even have to shop. You could feed some. You could give some friends. You can give somebody a job to go sell it at a farmer's market. You created a job.
And they said okay.
Yeah, they're like, oh wow.
It wasn't a difficult process.
No, because once you present it to somebody, you're like, so you buy salad, so you buy lettuce in a bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. You know, like, yeah, I bag up my salad and I buy an apple in a bag, whatever, you know, versus like go out there and take it out. Like, man.
And the taste is so different because I've eaten fruit and vegetables in a lot of different countries, and in this country, we're blessed to have a lot of food, but it's just the fruit doesn't taste like food compared to
it's
a
not,
lot of
it's not local. It's not in season. It's whatever they don't use organics.
They pick it way before it's ripe, you know.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of factors that go into it, and so that's a big factor in that would fix the world if you had to grow your own food.
Alkaline water. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I drink alkaline water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's just because we're already everything we're taking in, sodium and all these other things, do throw that whole pH balance off. You know, so that's why going, alkalining it helps to balance that whole pH. So
basically, it fights the body to not become acidic.
Yeah, and once the body's acidic, I mean,
so it's not bullshit. I mean, I hear a lot of conflicting reports, and it's just so confusing with any diet and with anything.
Yeah,
because if you do research on the internet, there's completely different sides, right? So. But in your experience, you think it's been...
Yeah, if it tastes great, and then also is like, well, if you're not drinking, unless you're buying bottled water all the time and something else, then, but at least don't drink tap water.
Oh yeah.
So hey, look, there's another one that everybody is kind of catching on to. Like, oh my God, pituitary, or was my
the pituitary gland.
No, what is it? I just drew a blank. Not the pituitary. Pineal gland.
Oh, pineal gland. Yeah.
It's important. We should know that.
Yeah. The third eye.
I forgot. Yeah.
Is that the one I kept calling like penile gland?
Yeah.
That's a different one. That's the larger one on the bottom.
Well, I used to explain it to them, like justify my long hair. I was like, because our hairs are like antenna, and then it gets energy through the hair and it hits our pineal. Right?
Yeah.
I know what's up.
Yeah.
But then on the counter of that, like, the people in Tibet, the monks shave their heads, and they reach enlightenment.
This information, like this is the stuff.
Conflict with myself.
No, but some of the information out there, that's why I can see it cause confusion. Like that information, like, do you guys know who came up with that, or the hair and the energy and going to the pineal gland? Is that
Avatar? Avatar.
Movie
That's
Avatar.
how he connected.
He connected the tails.
All right.
It goes even back to Native American, and they.
The Hindus, the Native Americans.
So they all have.
It's something they believe in.
I think every mystic side of anything has always had long beards and long hair in any practice.
The first thing Genghis Khan did was when he went to China is he pretty much cut the men's hair off and he just kept that, and he had the women wear their hair this way because I guess there's power that comes through the forehead as well.
Crazy.
So I guess they believe in that. And I do believe that when I like have my hair upwards and I have it downwards, that I feel a different sense of energies, and anybody could feel that,
Yeah, the hairier you are, the more woke you are.
Shout out to our Dothraki people.
I guess I'm a little pessimistic about. I don't know. I'm a little pessimistic about the hair thing. I guess I have to grow my hair out.
But then, or think like reggae. Think of the Rastas.
Yeah.
Those guys are on. They've got those locks.
Yeah.
So there is some power to it, but ultimately it just becomes what you would want to believe in it.
Yeah.
If you have your hair, you're gonna be like, oh my God, my hair's so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
People live in different truths, and we don't have to have the same truth.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that's with that. What are we at with time right now?
We're about like an hour-ish.
What does that mean?
Hour
like
15.
10.
Oh, hour 10? Okay, so I pretty much covered a lot of things that I wanted to cover with you. Are there things that you were hoping we would cover that we haven't talked about yet?
No, that was good.
You want to plug do you still have open availability for your...
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about the trip and what it entails. And the dietas.
So the dietas, that's another one that puts you. All these things take you out of your regular routine and makes you question it, down to like the salt, down to putting, whatever it is you seasoning. I'm like, but I like that. I don't want my salt, and it's like taking away. Observe yourself again. So sometimes not just the big things you're losing, sometimes just the little attachments to the idea of. The attachment of
what you think it is or should be.
Yeah, and then you reach a point where you're like, okay, I don't really need that. What was that? So, but that's if you're going, a lot of self-realization, looking down that route. But but it is doable. It's like a week. You get to, or I mean, you start it earlier, so you get to. That's the challenging part for people, because you're eating. Yeah, I tell people, hey, the cleaner you could go, then the less shit you're gonna have to deal with in there
Later, yeah.
So it's a week,
Yeah.
and it's in Peru,
Yeah,
near
it's
the
in
Amazon.
Yeah, we get on
in the Amazon.
in the Amazon, and we go out there and look in a little village, and the families live there, and you get to see how they live out there. No electricity, so you're off the grid, and finally.
So you land there, you get on a truck,
Yeah, we're on the back of trucks going through dusty roads through villages.
then you get to the water,
and then we get to the water.
and then you get on the boat.
and start growing into the river and then into the tributaries.
Wow.
And then, that's when the boat goes, you're just like looking around like what's going to jump out.
Right.
And finally we get off and hike it in. And you get to see, you're crawling through all this stuff and then get to a village. You're like, what are these people doing out here?
Yeah.
But these people they're like plants. They're just relaxed. I was like, what do they worry about? And actually, me and my friend were talking about. I'm like, what do you think they worry about here? Like, what's like? I don't know. Maybe the crops didn't do, or the chicken died, or something killed the chicken, or so. And then I go, what do we worry about?
The white man taking the land.
Oh man, we got so much to worry about over here.
Yeah,
we've created so many. We think we do, but then so that's once you're out there, you drop those things. And you're like, you get to what is really important.
To the basics.
Yeah, to the basics, and it's like. The person next to you,
and then while you're there, what's your diet like?
So we do 3 ceremonies.
Okay.
They provide, so the whole package is provided with the accommodations, which are just like a wooden structure with a little bed and a net, then a jacuzzi inside with.
I was gonna say Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi there, no fi there. And then the 3 ceremonies of food, transportation. I usually ends up translating for people, and that's.
And is the little tribe? How are they with each other? Are they?
That's what's amazing. You see the transformation. People go like, "Wow, okay, I and you want to help somebody. You see you get to see humanity presented to you. It's not too often that. Even guys like coming up and like, hey, let's talk. I got this, and working out some traumatic incident that happened years ago. No, this is like, you're relying on people, and people want to help. So you come back and you're connected. You do want to return to that. So I tell people, hey, make sure you stay connected with somebody because you're not going to want to go out. I had one friend. She went out to the mall like the next day, and she passed out.
Wow.
She goes, I just felt like it was so much going on out. It was just too much. Because you come back and all your channels are open. You're very open. So I go, you got to practice it,
So it's a week, and ayahuasca is like a part of it?
Yes, we do 3 ceremonies. And then one, and then we rest a day and we reintegrate, and then we, like that. So 3, and then we come back.
You do it 3 times on the trip.
And how do you make yourself useful when you guys get there? Or is your job done when you get there? You're like,
I'm
done?
out of here. I put this my nose.
You just go check up on the ayahuasca. Go. Looks ready.
Take this glass and
It's private. I just get naked.
Hit on the locals.
Yeah, they're like, I love getting out there and just like totally letting down my hair. I'm not naked.
Do you scare people when they're on ayahuasca?
They're like,
this is your conscience. Go back.
Like, stop doing that, Fabian.
You're dying.
Stop it, Fabian. Nah, I bring my flute. I go out there, play by the river. It's a time that I just,
sounds like the life.
I'm not on a schedule. So even the shaman goes like, hey, what time are we going to do this first ceremony tomorrow? What time should we get for breakfast? So we know what time to, I don't want to be full. He's like, whatever time you're hungry and whatever time you wake up and whatever time we're ready. And
the man's time does not apply.
And he goes, wow, you Americans have like a schedule, like even to eat.
Oh, God.
Like,
Google Calendar.
Well, yeah, I'm like, well, of course, because I got to know when the next meal is.
Time.
Yeah.
So they break. If you could break time, even the feeling of it. So mushrooms or something that distorts time or stops time.
Yeah.
That's why people are like, how long was that? So even in a sound bath, I can stop time. Inside people come out, they're like, how long was that? Was that like an hour or 15 or what? And but it's when you're in a harmonic state. It doesn't exist. Time doesn't exist there, and so you feel that time does not exist. Hard to explain it here. We're on the clock, like, how much time do we have here?
Well, they won't be able to function that way.
I was supposed to be.
Or could we? That's where you get to see the contrast.
Yeah.
While they're functioning perfectly.
How big are the groups each time that you take out
Usually like 12 to 20.
there? Okay.
So
Pretty
between
small
there.
groups,
Yeah,
and-
and they're good, and everybody connects. You know, and it's all heart opening. So
And how much does it cost?
it's $13.50 right now. If early bird before October 13th, and then $1,500 is the regular price.
So
That's
13
without
to
airfare.
1,500 is basically,
That's
It costs,
accommodation,
and then-
transportation, food,
and then you get your own
ceremonies.
flight basically
Yeah,
separate.
you just
Okay.
cover the
What is that?
flight.
800, 900
Yeah, it's
bucks?
like $800.
Does that
750.
include the drugs or whatever it is?
That's
The
not
medicine.
right.
It's not drugs.
Damn
Medicine.
it, Cash.
Why
God
not?
damn it. Now it says one thing after an hour and it's drug.
That's
I'm
what
trying
it
to
is.
Now I
sell this,
don't
man,
wanna
and
go.
then you delete that part. I'm kidding.
We're trying to.
We're
Well, here's the funny thing.
Can you bring me drugs? Just tell me it's drugs.
Just say
That's
yes.
so
That's all I want to know.
That's all
Can
I
you
want.
bring this stuff?
Time to wake up, my brother.
It was funny you say that. 'Cause,
What you need, my
well,
brother?
That's actually sounding funny because I remember the first time I go. So like how much of this drug can you take? And he's like, all right, well, let's stop. Let's
Hey,
stop.
chill.
Let's see how we talk.
Yeah.
In the Western states, you guys call your drugs medicines.
Mm.
He goes, but when you guys look at our medicines, you call them drugs.
Mm.
He goes, before there was a CVS, there was plants. So
Yeah.
your people background, we're doing like, hey, rub this on yourself, take this. This is gonna cure this. Your grandma.
Yeah.
Everybody has done something with plants.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying just hallucinogenic, but whatever.
Oh yeah.
And
for
so
sure.
I was like, medicinas it is.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's what the intention is between the difference between drugs and that. Usually, drugs are taken without intention, or the intention is something like the
But-
party.
Yeah.
The words are important, aren't they?
Yeah, they just it's the
They
aesthetic.
carry so much
it's like
energy.
the aesthetic. You know, it can steer energy.
We forget
That's how
about
powerful
that.
it is.
The words.
One of the most
Yeah.
underrated things, how important words are and how much energy they carry.
And especially how you use the words with yourself, how you speak to yourself.
Oh, that's the most important one.
That's the yeah.
Because if you
that's the-
speak with the language of self-love, you will radiate love.
yeah,
Do you know the words?
Hmm?
Do you know the
Yeah,
words?
I love me.
No, we are the watchers of the. I'm sorry. Game of Thrones. But is there a difference in the quality of ayahuasca, like the other drugs? Basically, you got the reed. I got the good.
I got the really good stuff.
At the indica.
No, I mean, no, because they're all and each experience is different.
Yeah.
Each time is different. You know, each from like one day to the next day it could be completely different. One thing is to know your source. What I was saying before, because some people do mix it with something else like, to water it down.
Okay.
To something else.
Mhm.
So that's you wouldn't just fly out to Pucallpa and see some guy with a sign like, hey, we do ayahuasca over here and go with it.
Yeah.
Like do your research, see who. If the place is,
Can I ask an ignorant question? What is ayahuasca? Is it like a
it's
powder?
a
Is it a
vine.
It's not ignorant.
It's a vine. No, not at all. It's a vine that grows, and it's like twisted vine,
what do you eat it?
and they
You
turn it into a
smoke it?
tea. So,
So
they
you drink it.
yeah. So they break it down, smash it up, and then they mix it with what's called chacruna, which is a plant. So just like these green
Chacruna.
leaves. And so when they mix both of those for hours, it allows the DMT effect to break through what's called your blood-brain barrier, and then it could go.
I
Yeah.
see.
So it's
Is that like the only way of taking it? Like
that one, yeah.
Can't,
Because
like,
if you just no, you can't even smoke it or snort it. Even if you just drank the vine by itself, it wouldn't have the effect unless you mix it with that one.
I see.
Take it the way people take it, and then you can decide on other ways.
But then
later.
there's also more to it, not just mixing it, but also is the intention that you put into it. So these guys are singing into ancient songs, and there's one guy that is his job is to pick it. There's one guy that his job is to sing. One guy's, I mean, so it's pretty
That's
powerful.
crazy.
They
That's
imbue
cool.
it, and so these people, what's called the Shipibo, they're the guardians of the realm of like literally the door between them. They've been doing this forever, and you realize it when you're in there and they're singing these songs. I'm like, wow, they're actually they're like the intermediator. They're speaking to source, vibrate, whatever you want to call it, and relaying it back and forth. So they connect you. So it's like a connector, like somebody on the phone.
Yeah.
I've heard the Earth has two lungs. One of them is Amazon and one's in Africa, where that's pretty much how the Earth is breathing.
Mhm.
Do you find that to be true?
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's another thing when you're on ayahuasca and out there, you get to actually experience, not just that you don't experience without it, but you really get to sit with what they call Pachamama, which is the being, the essence of Mother Earth, and you get to feel the pains of it. So that's pretty intense, but also the nurturing of it. You're like, wow, I'm so sorry for what I've done. You know, you feel that responsibility. So that's one thing people walk away with is a deep connection to their mother,
Yeah.
to the earth that you're walking on, and you're like, what am I doing? What's my footprint? You know, but the vine is, according to them, it's allowed itself to become more readily available now because the time is right. Because before it was just kept in the tribes and everything, and now you got, you know, guys coming out from Silicon Valley and you know, celebrities. So there's the good and the bad of that. Obviously, people are going to take advantage of it, and they're going to run out of it or abuse it. But there's a lot of associations.
What's the best documentary you would recommend for somebody that finds our conversation interesting today? There's a lot of them, right? There was a new one with Michelle Rodriguez, I think.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good. The spirit molecule is interesting because that taps into the DMT. The spirit molecule.
That's the one with Rogan narrating?
Yeah, he speaks in it. There's a lot of people that speak in it, and they're kind of giving their examples. But now there's so much information out there. You know, I mean, I'm the more I've come into my path, the more I'm like putting it out there even too. Because at first I was like, I don't know if I should put that out there. What are people gonna think? Or be like, you know. But like we were saying, now walking into world, I'm not just like, yo, drink this. This is cool. It's cosmic for you. It's like, because I can explain to the exec the physiological effects of it and why the benefits of, you know, okay, your hippocampus and your hypothalamus is gonna fire and this, and you know, because that's what happens. There's some science behind it. The spiritual part, you'll get on your own. You know, there is no God in there. There's nothing. It's your experience.
That's beautiful. And I mean, do you think there's a lot of fraudulent retreats, same type of situations? Because I mean, in anything, when it comes down to, you know, religious and spiritual things, there are people there are a lot of people out there seeking something, so they will take advantage of that for their, you know.
But I don't know, just dealing with the medicine, it keeps you pretty authentic.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of people are like, what if you get hooked on it? I'm like, I don't think you want to get hooked on it. You'd be like, whoa, I'm cool, thanks. And they'll tell you, like, hey, you know, you learned your lesson. Like, go practice now. Go and that's the other thing is coming back and practicing it. You, like anything, you got to practice it. So every time I come back, I'm like, okay, let me really, and it stays in you for, you know, for a good while.
Right.
You know, like anything, just a practice and you live that life.
Live your truth.
Live in plant life now.
Is there anything else you want to discuss before we let?
Besides that, also doing a lot of events coming up. So I got a bunch of sound baths and sound journeys. Now, if you can't make it out to Peru or do ayahuasca, come to a sound bath because pretty much it's almost like a ceremony.
You got to take baby steps.
Yeah.
And those are in San Pedro?
Yeah, I do in San Pedro and throughout LA. But it's almost like a ayahuasca ceremony. A lot of the sounds are like straight shamanic sounds that I've picked up.
He makes sounds himself, too.
Yeah.
Can you make one right?
Yeah, I'd love to personally. I live in LA, and I'd love to stop by. I will sometime.
Yeah, and there's a big community in LA. It's once you tap into it, you're like, wow, there's, you know, and I'll totally extend it out. I'm always reposting stuff also. So on social media, go by Realization Nation. So on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, make sure you follow his Instagram account. It's probably one of my favorite Instagram accounts.
So that's
no doubt about that. And I don't say this, but he does it with style. It's you learn something, you get inspired, and it's not forced down your throat.
So it's Realization Nation.
Yeah.
Cash, try to put it.
Yeah.
And realizationnation.com. I have all the information there for that, and also private. You know, even private, even corporate. I've been doing corporate, which is really cool. So these companies, and then usually somebody in the crowd is going to come back and be like, "What was that? Something triggered, or I saw my mom, or I just remembered something," and they'll come back, and I'm like, "Boom, there, cool." It's, you know, it's just that one person.
Well, I remember the first time when I went to that Conscious Tribe gathering. I hope I'm saying it right. It's Consciousness Tribe, yeah. And then I was walking.
Cosmic Conscious.
Cosmic Conscious, yeah. I overheard there were just some people walking by, and there was a 6-year-old was like, "Mom, I really like that sound." So even it did something for the kid, you know, which was amazing.
That's always cool when I see a kid there and they're just like naturally in it. I'm like, okay, cool. You open that world to them versus going like, no, don't. Yeah, that's weird or something, you know. And those kids are really open. You know, I've seen them. They're just really free flowing kids. But if a lot of those events are on the Instagram Cosmic Consciousness, so add them and you see it's a good community and it's building and everybody's offering their gifts. You know, that's something I noticed too is people are really putting themselves out there now. They're whatever their gifts are, they're putting it out there. You know,
Very
so,
important.
So it's cool. It's
Awesome.
we're at a good time to see this.
Yeah,
We're
definitely.
gonna we get to witness this whole shift. You know, we're gonna be around for the next 30, 40 years. So
Yeah.
by 2050, we'll be completely new species.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
I believe that. I do have a couple of final questions
Yeah.
before I let you go. How often do you do these retreats?
Right now, I'm doing them once a year. So usually
Once a
around
year you do them
February,
only.
Yeah.
Okay,
Usually
okay, once
beginning
a
of the
year.
year.
And-
The more I build up, I want to do 2.
You're trying to
Okay.
go?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the second, I do. I want to go to the San Pedro. No, I'm kidding. No, I do want to go to the Peru. I definitely do. It's that fear of it. Like I said before,
Yeah.
is this the right time? Am I gonna come back
You're
and be
good
like,
with that
fuck my
stuff.
job?
My job.
But yeah, and then I wanted to know about DMT and ayahuasca. If someone wanted to try one, which one would you recommend?
Ayahuasca
Is it
has
good for us to
DMT.
say this over the thing?
What's up?
Is it okay that we're talking about this?
For me, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, kids. No, I'm kidding.
I was kidding.
no. Let me rephrase that
I'm not trying to
question.
send Fabian back to prison again.
No. Let me rephrase my question. Not recommend, but if someone wanted to reach a certain spiritual level or find themselves or purge, which one do you think
Which one
would be a better
first?
option?
I would say meditation first. I would have them first,
Yoga.
yeah, going through those, clean up what you can. This is just an expander, but between those two, ayahuasca is DMT.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Just it's prolonged, so now you're in that state for much longer, which you have time to figure out.
So
how
it
to
comes
guide
from the
yourself.
same plant.
Yeah.
Okay.
How to guide yourself in the journey inward,
That's awesome.
and then DMT is short lived, and sometimes it's synthetic even.
Okay.
But I don't know. I mean, they're all, and they call you. It's just natural. Just same way as I was like, whoa, what is this?
Because I watched Enter the Void, which is a movie
Yeah.
I love, and for maybe 6 months, even after I'd seen the movie like 4 or 5 times, and I thought DMT is a made up thing. This is years ago.
Mhm.
I didn't know it's a real thing. I thought it's just from the movie. Then I actually looked online. And I'm like, oh, it's a real thing, and
Yeah.
it's interesting.
And
It's the
that's
same,
even
yeah.
gone out to the general public now. People
Yeah.
are like, what? I want to have this experience.
Mhm, mhm.
I want to see the other side.
Yeah.
I want to see the coding behind,
Or do I?
or do,
No,
or
I'm
do
kidding. I
you?
do. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, dude. If you came, oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'll
just
come. I'll come.
It's a visual
February
place.
makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
All right. Well, it was an honor to have you.
Oh,
It was
thank
beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you
for
so
coming,
much.
definitely.
Hopefully, we'll be able to have you come back on. Hopefully, we can get Cena to capture some footage too, so we can throw on top of it if it's okay with you, of
Definitely,
course. Try to send us some footage too, so we can put it on top of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But seriously, thank you for your friend Stephanie.
Stephanie.
You didn't laugh,
Yeah,
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
You were supposed to laugh and clap.
She's the jewelry
Yeah,
girl, right?
she's an alchemist jeweler. You gotta see some
I
of this
follow.
stuff.
She's
Look
got
at this.
some beautiful
wow.
work. Her work's
That's cool.
legitimately
Stuff, yeah.
good.
Indigo Unveiled. So
Yeah.
you
That's
can,
cool. I hear she has some gifts for the code. No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Alright.
amazing stuff.
But yeah, she makes some beautiful stuff, and you can find her. Hopefully, you can make something so we can shout her out too.
Yeah.
Shout
Yeah.
out.
Do you have
always,
it?
Always connect with me.
Do you have an Instagram page?
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Indigo Unveiled.
Indigo Unveiled
Yes.
on Instagram.
Like
All right.
Indigo Children.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. Like
Indigo
children.
Unveiled.
Indigo Unveiled.
Yeah, and her
Yeah.
stuff's
Alright.
beautiful.
Cool.
So that's with that. Thank you for listening, Erfi.
That's about it. Thanks, man. I really
Well,
enjoyed
I wanna-
having you. Very informative.
Awesome.
Truly enjoyed it.
What?
Well,
Subscribe.
I want to thank you guys also for opening this platform. Like everybody's falling into somebody's a connector. Somebody does this. All these little jobs. It's like the ants. Everybody's got some job in this, and for me to get my stuff out, like I could reach so much, but then also other platforms like that is the grassroots.
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
believe that millions need to know about you, and I mean that. And I'm not trying to, I mean it. I believe that you have a much longer journey, a bigger journey ahead of you, and I
Yeah.
hope that
Well, thanks for that.
I hope you realize that too,
Yeah,
because
thank
people
you.
need you, and I've said
Awesome.
that to you. So, thank you. You've honored us. It was a blessing.
Much love.
Thanks for
Much
being
love.
here, everybody.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Cash is gonna kill me if I don't say this. He has it on his finger right now. I know. I already know to say it. So subscribe, everybody, to the channel
Yes,
for new
please do.
episodes and updates. And, yeah.
or subscribe?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. subscribe. All right.
Beautiful.
Thanks for coming.
Till next
again,
time.
Fabian.
Thank you.
Nomad out.
I did that, man.
Awesome.
Thank you
These
so
guys
much. Good.
subscribe on his finger.